What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rewind 245. I will be talking about Uncharted 4. The E3 trailer for Uncharted 4 has just been recently released. It's a very small teaser. I just want to give out my predictions for the next installment to the Uncharted franchise. But I guess in order for me to talk about it, I will need to talk about The Last of Us first. Now, please forgive me, my brother is listening to well, not listening, but watching some anime. So if you hear some background noise, please forgive me for that. But anyway, Uncharted 4 predictions, and I have a pretty good selection of predictions. But first, I want to briefly talk about The Last of Us and what the original idea was for The Last of Us. Both Neil Druckmann and Bruce Stanley. Now, I am not at all going to spoil The Last of Us. This was just an idea both Bruce and the creators of The Last of Us had, but it wasn't finalized because they decided to take the story into a different direction. But the original idea to The Last of Us was that Tess and Joel have some kind of miscommunication or something bad happens between them, and because of that, Tess doesn't really trust Joel, and there was some conflict going on between Joel and Tess, and so because of that, the whole plot is surrounded by both Joel and Tess, and the plot was really about Tess going after Joel and you running away with Ellie. Running away with Ellie away from Tess. You're basically running away from Tess and making sure you didn't get captured by her and her posse or whatever. But in the end of what the idea they had was that eventually Tess catches Joel and kills him, and Ellie runs away to safety. Now that's the original idea to The Last of Us. Now, the original teaser trailer for Uncharted 4 was released back in November, I believe, and the concept of the original idea to The Last of Us seems somewhat similar to the concept idea for Uncharted 4. And if you listen to the audio, what the villain is talking about in Uncharted 4, he talks about being, I forgot how it all went, I didn't rewatch it before I made this, but he talks about how he feels betrayed by Drake, and basically he's going after Drake, Nathan Drake, and that's somewhat the similar concept idea of The Last of Us, of Tess going after Joel. Over here in Uncharted 4, the villain is going after Drake. So yeah, that's just one part of the theory, I guess, or the prediction that this has to do with an idea that the original creators of The Last of Us thought of, and the transition to Uncharted 4. Maybe they thought it will play better in Uncharted 4. But now let's talk about the E3 trailer, the trailer that they showed on E3. And it's a very brief E3 trailer. It's only like a minute long, and there's really not much action going on. It's just Drake waking up into a forest that seems very dark and damp, and in the background you can hear a voiceover of both Drake and Sully having a talk. Now, with my prediction, I'm gonna go on and talk about three different things. For one thing, the one thing you notice is that, of course, this is a much older Drake. I read a bit of the synopsis over there on PlayStation 4 on the PlayStation Store, where they already have the game available for pre-order, and they didn't really say specifically how many years this takes place after Uncharted 3, but the Uncharted 4 does take place years after Uncharted 3, and you could definitely tell Drake is much more older, probably late 30s or early 40s, or maybe much older than that. So this is a much more older Drake, and with that said, who knows if there will be some kind of backdrop in terms of gameplay. I mean, there's no doubt that Uncharted is going to be that same pulp action adventure, with great action set pieces and all that crap. But are the creators willing to, try and make sense of that with a much more older Drake, where he may not handle that kind of endurance and that much physicality, unlike the other Uncharted games? So yeah, that's just one thing pointing out that, of course, yeah, he's a much more older Drake. So we don't know what he's been doing throughout those years after the events of Uncharted 3. Of course, they'll probably have to mention it, but I have my theories of course, predictions of what happened between after Uncharted 3. And I think my second prediction is one that is a little bit more obvious as well. And if you've noticed, what Drake has on his finger, on his ring finger, is a wedding ring. And yeah, you can see the wedding ring right on Nathan Drake. And it's probably safe to assume that Nathan Drake is obviously married to freaking Elena Fisher, one of the female characters in the Uncharted franchise, the blonde one, the cute blonde one. And I guess, yeah, it's safe to say either he's married to her or maybe he's married to someone else, but I'm pretty confident he's married with Elena, because the way Uncharted 3 ends with both Elena and Drake and Sully moving on to the sunset happily ever after. So most likely both Drake and Elena ended up together. But with that said, there's probably something much more deeper going on with Drake's life. Maybe he's developed, not developed, but maybe now he has his own family with either a son or a daughter. If it's not, offspring that he has, then maybe he's not much more connected with Elena's family, her part of the family, either, stepfathers, stepmothers, and whatnot, or any siblings of Elena or whatnot, things like that. So, Drake has much more to live for now. He's much more older and he has much more to live for, and that's a family. It's either all he has is a marriage with Elena, or it could be that he has his own family with his own kids, or it could be that now he's sharing his life with Elena, and he's he also has gotten to know her side of the family, and either way, that's could all work against Nathan Drake. And that goes to my third prediction, that the villain could be using Nathan's family as leverage to get whatever he wants. Now, of course, we don't know the specifics of what the villain wants from Nathan Drake, either as treasure or payback or something like that, but he could use Drake's family as leverage, where he could take him hostage, either everyone or just a couple of them, take him hostage and tell him, yo, if you don't get this for me, or if you don't come, or whatever the proposition is, he's going to threaten Drake's family. That's if Drake has a family. But I feel somewhat confident that they put that story for Drake, being a family man. And Drake, probably the closest family he's ever had was Sully. Sully's basically a father figure to him. And for the most part, Drake hasn't really had much family ties. Yeah, he has friends, and I guess those friends could be seen as close family members in the moral standard, but now he could have a legitimate family, and that family could work against him in this game, and that gives him much more to live for. That gives him much more motivation to do whatever he wants, not whatever he wants, but much more motivation to get the task, whatever he needs to get done. And because since he has much more to live for, he has so much to lose as well. That's of course his family, like we mentioned. So the villain could use that against Drake. So yeah, I guess my final prediction will have to be, the title of the game is called Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. So I got three parts to the title of what that may mean, A Thief's End. And I got two dark perspectives and one much more lighter. My first dark perspective to the title, or what the title may mean, is that Drake is gonna die, and I feel that's a good possibility. Nathan Drake, he goes through some hardship. He's already old. He has a lot to live for, and maybe a sacrifice will be made where either he dies at the end of the game or near the end of the game. But I don't know, Nathan Drake, I don't know if they want to kill him off, because he is an anchor of that franchise, and who knows if Sony would ever want to make excuse me, another Uncharted game without Naughty Dog with another developer. After all, Sony owns the rights to Uncharted, not Naughty Dog themselves. But that could be a possibility, killing off Drake. Another possibility could be killing off Sully himself. And this is a bit of a spoiler, I guess, but Sully nearly, dies in Uncharted 3, or at least we thought he dies in Uncharted 3. And, who knows, maybe they could come back to that again for Uncharted 4 and finish the job. But I don't know. I mean, that's a good possibility that Sully dies, because after all, Sully is also a thief. He's the one who brought Drake, and Drake was always a thief, but Sully was the one who sort of helped him develop more skills and whatnot. So the title could mean directly towards Sully, where it could be Sully's time to end his life, or either end his reign of being a thief or whatever. And they might as well kill Sully off, and that could be like a big big character arc for Drake himself, if a close friend of his as a father figure ends up dying. And they were close to doing that in Uncharted 3, but they sort of copped out from it. They made you think Sully died, but he doesn't die. And I guess my other theory behind the title, it could mean the villain of the game. It could mean that, I don't know much about the villain, and we don't know much about a villain besides he wants revenge from Drake, but it could mean that maybe he's, maybe it's that, that guy's end, but I don't, to me, that's less likely, because, even though the villain matters in this game, really the focal point of these games is Drake himself. So I think it has to be about Drake. And with that, it goes to my last prediction about the title, and it could be something much more simple, where Drake just finishes, he's just done. In Uncharted 3 it seemed like he was done, but who knows, maybe this time he's officially done. Maybe once he's able to do his last job, he could finally finish and just move forward and, develop a family, or that's if he already has or has not a family. Help out. I wouldn't know what they go around with that ending or whatever, but they could just move forward with that character, where now he's moved on, and he's no longer a thief. He's just a regular man with a family, and someone who is living a normal life, I guess. And it could be as simple as that, and that's how they made it with Uncharted 3. Drake sort of quits, and he sort of goes on to live a regular life, but now he's forced back into the game with Uncharted 4. And then, of course, you have Sully and Drake in the trailer talking in the background, and basically Drake is convincing Sully, to come back with him, to have one more skit with him together, and to get one more, whatever they're trying to do, either treasure or saving someone, whatever they're doing, to work together one more time, the one very last time. And that's basically all my predictions, that the main idea of the last, or the original story to The Last of Us, would transition to Uncharted 4, which seems so, that probably Drake has been married or is married. He may have a family, either a family of his own, or a simple marriage between him and Elena or another female character, or it could be simply having a getting to know Elena as part of the family, and of course what the title could mean. Either it means the death of Drake, the death of Sully, the death of the villain, or a simple goodbye to the franchise and to Drake as he goes on to live a normal life. And as for the very ending for the trailer, you see these skeletons hanging in cages or whatever, and I want to know what to predict about that. Who knows, maybe that could be the villain's lair or whatever, or his base, and maybe he's a very evil villain and he puts those bodies there. or maybe that's just a setup that that area is a dangerous place, and whoever controls that place has done some shady shit. But yeah, that's about all my predictions. I want to know what happens between Uncharted 3. Well, of course, I guess, yeah, like I said, one of my predictions of what happens between Uncharted 3 and 4 is, of course, he gets married and develops a family. And who knows, but we don't know what happens between the villain and what's his face, Drake. So that's left to see what happens. I'm really looking forward to Uncharted 4. It looks typically the Uncharted games are very great. All of them are actually very great. Even the PS Vita one, I guess the only one that isn't as good is the Fight for Fortune, but I never tried that out for myself. And it leaves to question, well, this seems like a much more darker Uncharted, and I don't know, because Uncharted has always been that pulp action adventure that sort of, very humorous and very lighthearted. So I wouldn't know, because I did have a predictions for a dark ending of who may die, but I don't know. I don't see Uncharted doing something dark and killing off an important character. That's something they will do in The Last of Us, or maybe some other ideas they may have. But I don't really see that happening in Uncharted. But it could happen. They could take that turn if they wanted to, make a very dark and very unexpected ending. By killing off a character, doing something very dark and unexpected. But yeah, like how I said, in Uncharted 3, the reveal trailer for Uncharted 3, that seemed kind of dark. It seemed pretty serious, but when you play Uncharted 3, yeah, it gives much more story behind Drake and behind Sully, but it's still a fun game, and it's still very humorous. But Uncharted 4, who knows if they would take a little bit of a different direction in terms of story, where they take it much more seriously and much more dark. I'm sure in terms of gameplay it will still be very fun, and you'll still be hearing very humorous lines between Drake and Sully. But in terms of story, who knows what they will do? Obviously with The Last of Us, Naughty Dog has shown that they can do an amazing job with storytelling. And with Neil Druckmann back directing this one, which he directed The Last of Us, he could put in what he learned from The Last of Us and see what he could do in Uncharted. It's going to be a very amazing game. It's due to be out around 2015, but I wouldn't be surprised if it will get delayed for another year in 2016, because a few people have left from Naughty Dog. The creative director, the game director, and I believe the art director also left, and I think someone else left there. But the actor who plays the villain left, so they had to recast them. So a lot of people left. So hopefully they could rebound from that, or maybe that wasn't such an issue that they could be able to pull out the game at a timely fashion. So that's all for my predictions. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you're as excited for Uncharted 4 as much as I am. If you have any predictions, please let me know. I'm curious of what you guys think. I'm also very curious of what some people may think about those bodies that were in those cages. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.